everyone in so we can get starting. So keep be prepared, and I hope you guys you're feeling well. So we are starting trying to bring everyone in. Our panelists they're trying to log in. So yeah. So see to yourself and try to find yourself a nice spot. So you're gonna have fun. I would like to remind you some of the panelists we will be having today. We have actually we have panelists from we are trying to connect the panelists, and yeah, there is the president of Rwanda Fashion Association, Ms. Karen. She's trying to log in. We have Ruthie Jaco from University of Eastern London, try to log in. We have Kavano Franco, a former model and a professional model, trying to also to log in. We have Vin Chris, the founder of Vin Chris from Kenya, trying to log in. Yeah, we have the founder of we have an artist where we've artist Anelico Davis, recording artist, a singer and a songwriter from UK right now. And so while we are waiting others to check in, to get in, while we are trying to help everyone to get in. So Enrico, can you, I want to ask you, can you tell us, is there any relationship between music and fashion?
Music and fashion, yeah, definitely there is, because it's the creative industry. Yeah, I guess it's all from one source you're creating. So with that being said, so you caught me off guard. I was like, oh, I didn't. I'll be asking with that. So yeah, there is a relationship. Myself being an artist, it's always important to liaise with designers, and it is really important to build these relationships, because ultimately us as artists, we get endorsed by clothing companies to promote their wear. So if you look at people like Rihanna, who was then endorsed by River Island, you've got an artist, the late Aaliyah, that was endorsed by Tommy Hilfiger for her clothing. So the more exposure that she, like for instance, every photo shoot that she's wearing their clothes, garments, it gave their brand a little bit more of a lift. So yeah, there is definitely a connection between the two.
Yeah, but when is there, we know in the music when runaway models, when you host events, we use music. But do you think fashion designers, they need to know something? What do you think fashion designers, they need to know about music before choosing music? what do they need to know about to choose the music?
Okay, so there's two ways that I kind of see it. Well, there's two ways of looking at it from the designer's perspective, I guess, and it would be like hand in hand with artists as well. The first one, I definitely believe that art, like the designer, should have 100% control to express their vision. So choosing everything accordingly to maybe how they feel or how they feel it fits their brand. But if you're going to look at it like the second option, which is being strategically business driven, let's say looking at the territory of Africa, you're a designer in Africa and you have many up and coming artists that are releasing their music, and it's all about us connecting and building these relationships. So even if it's a different territory, it could be Kenya, and then you're going over to Nigeria, you're working with Nigerian Afro beats. It's about building more of a presence. So I would personally say the designer should really consider working with up and coming artists that are in their territory while selecting their music, because again, you've got a platform that the designer is showcasing their collections and it's showcasing this artist, and it fits on both ends. So the artist is then wearing their clothing, and it just ties in, and you're building the brand a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. But another thing, before we are going to while we are waiting our all guests to our all panelists to check in. So I also have another question. Music, you have said music, and there is a relationship between music and the fashion. So is there any like the traditional, there is, pop music, there is, I would say there is a Nigerian beat, you have South African beat, we have so there are all these kind of these beats. For Africa, you have been trying to read some music about Africa. Do you think Africans artists also can create music specifically for fashion, just for fashion?
Just for fashion, yeah, because it crosses over all the time. Let's say, for instance, me releasing music, like I started releasing music from 2011. So back then it was, and I'm talking from the territory of the UK now. So releasing music then, it was EDM, so electro pop, and it was heavily saturated with Lady Gaga music. And with Lady Gaga music presented futuristic fashion, which touched into the East Asian market of fashion. So moving forward, you've had the R&B push on things, and right now in the UK, the territory is Afrobeat, but we are using a lot more Western fashion with that in the UK. However, in Africa, I do feel that there is a big need to push traditional African music with the garments, because it just makes sense. And I think as a feature, it's about being very proud of who we are and where we come from, So yeah, I definitely think it's about everyone just tying in together. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Good. So before we jump to continue, tell us about your music. We have seen you have made music for a while, and I will ask some of our attendants to go look on your YouTube channels. So far, which big concert have you performed? Tell us a bit about your music. Yeah.
So I've come from the commercial background. So I ended up winning a performance that got me onto an award show in the UK, and it helped me kind of get into it a little bit more. However, even me being a commercial artist, it had its strain being a Black male artist. I've had meetings where I'm writing for what I was writing for other big artists at the time in the UK, and having meetings where I'm being told, okay, great, you look presentable, you look commercial, and it's so good you're not so dark. You're not so dark. So it helps. And when you're being faced with a black and a white lady in a company telling you this, and they were part of one of the biggest management companies that works along with Jay-Z's label at the time. So having those, it can really break down your confidence. And again, in the UK is this whole unity that I'm talking about and coming together and working within our bounds and this and that. Black people in the UK is very, very hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. There's less of a percentage of us over here as compared to if I was in Africa or in a part of the Caribbean. So it's about really supporting that. But I have pushed music, and I'll be honest with you, it's this whole thing that I'm talking about with connecting with each other. I think if there was more of that strength in numbers and less of us bickering or thinking that person's lighter, they will have something easier, they will have an easier game or an easier experience within music, I think things may have shaped out to be a little bit different for myself. But I am pursuing music. I'm back at it again. I've got a new 2021 project that I'm pushing forward with. So it's an upcoming album that I'm working on. So I think just before we did this Zoom, you saw me there doing my vocal warm-ups, and
I did. Yes, I did.
So so I'm back at it. This feels really weird because I find it hard to talk about myself in that way. But thank you very much, Celestine, for having me.
Okay, thank you so much, and I hope you will be around so we have a few other questions. So we are continuing with. I can see our panelists all checking in, and I see Esther Dixon from Nigeria, and she's almost in. So I remind everyone, this is a webinar organized by the Rwanda Cultural Fashion Show, the 8th edition. Rwanda Cultural Fashion Show is a forum for local and international fashion designers to showcase their designs. We have had a lot in the fashion industry. We have worked with different fashion African designers. Since the RCFS started, local fashion designers, models have been promoted through our events. So we are still very happy to have everyone. We have many questions that have been prepared that we will be asking our panelists. So fashion lovers, fashion entrepreneurs, please stay in touch and prepare some questions. If you have a questions, you can go on the chat box. You can chat and ask a question if you have a question. And if you have, I can see Dixon is in. Yeah, so we have many questions people ask. We have people, they ask questions about made in Africa. People ask questions about who is real design, who can design a clothes. People ask questions who can sell clothes. People ask questions why many African countries are banning second-hand, which known as chagua in Swahili. So we have many questions that we have gathered so we can really answer together. I can see Nganzi Panza, Esther Dixon. Are you there so you can open your video, please?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to see why my video is not opening.
Oh,
Just a
okay.
minute.
Okay. Okay. So can you try it now again?
Okay. Can you see me now? Okay.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So you're welcome. We are
Thank
happy to
you.
have you. Happy to have you today. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Esther Dixon. I am the creative director, Esther Lamy Designs and Accessories, and I'm from Nigeria.
Okay, you're welcome, Esther. We are so very excited to have you here today, and everyone is so excited to hear more about fashion industry in Nigeria. So, Esther, tell us about your work. How did you started this career? Tell us a little bit about your work before we ask you questions regarding fashion industry in Nigeria.
Okay, how did I start? Well, I've been in various industries. I was, first of all, in the advertising industry, though I have always had an interest in fashion. So as time went on, I realized that I needed to fulfill that dream in me of, doing something in fashion. Right from my secondary school, I was sewing, drawing, and, doing all that. So I decided that the desire in me just wouldn't go away. So that's how I already knew how to sew. So I just learned other things along and started.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So Nigeria is a country in Africa which is known as the country of fashionable, country of fashion. So
Yeah.
what is the secret that the institutions are using to support to make that industry be competitive on a continental?
Well, I still think we have a long way to go. I wouldn't say that we are really there. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
have a long way to go, but the government has been supporting us
Yes.
in the sense that they have all sorts of incentives. Like right now, the Central Bank of Nigeria has an incentive whereby through other smaller banks,
Yeah.
there's about 4 billion naira that is being dispersed through
Yeah.
our commercial banks to assist the creatives, the fashion industry, and those that are in IT to, to come up. And apart from through that also, there's certain banks like Guarantee Trust Bank, who for the past 4 years have been holding a fashion weekend, whereby they invite um, renowned people in the fashion industry internationally to come and talk in their master classes. They also have competitions for throughout Africa. People can apply. I think it's called something sketch. Young designers. You put in your designs, and then you get to showcase them at the GT Fashion Weekend, which takes place every year around November. So at that fashion weekend, they have vendors in the arts and craft industry. They have vendors in the fashion industry to come and show their wares, sell their wares. Is a venue for people to, showcase what they're doing, and to a commercial venue for them to sell as well.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, yeah. Yeah. That's a very, very, very great. I can see Ruth Jacob. Ruth Jacob, are you there?
Hello, yes I am.
Okay. Okay. You're welcome. Can you? Okay. 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 We see you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Ruth Jacob, we are very excited to have you here. Very professionally for fashion industry people. We are very excited to have you here. We can't wait to hear from you. So, can you introduce yourself before we start, please?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Ruth Jacob. I'm a lecturer in fashion marketing at the University of East London, so based in East London. Yeah, I've been lecturing there for just over a year now. Prior to that, I've lectured at other universities in London in the area of fashion marketing and also marketing and business studies. I myself I'm working on a menswear line, so I still dabble in the industry as well as teaching. So yeah, there's a few things going on. But yeah, I'm very happy to be a part of the panel today.
Okay, thank you so much. Once again, welcome. The team is getting bigger. We have now Cabano Franco, who is a former model and a professional modeling artist. Cabano, you are welcome, and can you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for this great opportunity. My name is Cabano Franco. I'm a former model and I'm now an agent. I own a modeling agent, which does outing and global placement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Franco. We're happy to have you here. We have Karen Uwera. Karen Uwera, she's the president of Rwanda Fashion Design Association. Karen, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, good morning. You introduced me already as Karen, the chairperson of the Fashion Designers Association. I'm happy to hear and happy to be part of the panel.
Okay, thank you. Starting with Karen, as the president of Rwanda Fashion Design Association, what is your association's goal?
Well, the association's goal is one is to promote the fashion industry in Rwanda, create synergies between all the value chain related to the fashion industry, and of course to connect Rwanda. Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing, to create advocacy for the fashion industry. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Give us an image of fashion industry as the president of Fashion Design Association, like someone who don't have an idea. Give us an image for fashion industry within 10 years.
For 10 years from now?
Yes.
Oh, I think in my objection, it will have grown so wide with new talent on board, with better quality, and known to the world. Yeah, that's my projection of 10 years from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Franco, we thank you to be here, and you have been doing modeling for a long time. And can you, my partner Monica, I didn't introduce yourself, yeah, before maybe we start.
Thank you so much, Celeste. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us. I'm Monica. I'm a partner to Celestine. Feel free to ask any question. I'm here mostly for ladies.
Monica, we're not seeing your beautiful face.
What happened?
Okay.
Why are we not seeing your pretty face?
Okay, I think you. yeah. You see the first of Monica. So Monica is going to ask a question for. You have a question for Jacob, Ruth Jacob.
Ruth Jacob.
Yeah.
Yes. The question for Ruth Jacob is there a checklist African designers should know before starting the marketing of a new collection?
So there are a few things that came to mind when considering the question. I think one thing that is really important is that they should know who their customers are. So any designer wanting to design something, they should know who their customers are. Are they younger people, children, babies, for example? Are they older customers? Do they have a smaller or a larger proportion of disposable income? If you understand these different elements of who your customers are, you can start to design in a way that caters specifically to them. So one of the things that you can do is develop something called a customer profile. So it's something that explains certain qualities and certain characteristics that your customer will have, or someone buying from you. You'll understand what they like, what they have available to them, what they're interested in. You'll understand what they read, how they are informed, how do they find out about fashion. And then you can also be sure you place yourself in these places where you can get to your customers. And another good thing to do is also find out what similar brands are doing. When you understand and see how they're operating, you can operate in a way that emulates what they're doing, but you can also find out certain things that they're not doing, and you can then cater towards them. So for example, if say a particular brand doesn't have a strong, say, social media presence, you can choose to develop a strong social media presence and really interact and engage with people. If you know that's something that your customers are interested in, you then put those things in place of them. If you know that your customers read a lot of magazines, find ways to put your products in those magazines so that you're in front of your customers effectively, so you really connect with them and create that relationship with them as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We are so happy to have you here once again. We kindly please ask all our panelists. We still have other questions to ask, so we hope you will stay with us. Mr. Franco, within 10 years doing modeling, can you tell us, do you think modeling can be something that someone as a model can rely on making a living?
Thank you so much for the good question. I think everything, if you do it well and you know where to go and how to do it, you can do it and make a living. Modeling is something big, even if in Africa we are behind. But I think in next 10 years, professional models will be a good examples of rich people in Africa. That's what I can say. It is a promising career.
Okay, thank you, Franco.
I have a question for Franco. You have been taking and runaway models in different international fashion weeks like USA, Europe, and some other African countries. What is the main techniques have you been using sending models in international fashion weeks? How do you get that contact?
I think because of my experience, I figured out what I was missing to do it as a model, and I had to find a way of putting the young Rwandans on international marketing. Because of my experience and the travels that I made, I think it's the only secret that I use to put models on international market.
Okay. There are some models around. There are some models around who have been asking themselves questions like they want to have a platform. We know models, you guys, you do a lot of work. So, Dixon, we talk about made in Africa. What made in African fashion sounds to you?
You mean what made in Africa fashion sounds to me now, or what I would like it to be in the future?
In the future.
Okay, in the future, I would love to see a situation where we are given more recognition than what we are at present. Like, for example, in Beyonce's video, the latest one she has, there's a lot of representation of Africa, but Africa is being represented from the West perspective. They're showing us what they think we are, which looks very Wakanda-ish, you understand? It's not real, you know? They think we still, I don't know, it's kind of like cartoonish, you know? So whereas if we are allowed to express ourselves and show who we really are, you find that it's going to be different from what the West is propagating that we as what they think we are. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
where I'd like to see our fashion, African fashion, is, you know, giving a new perspective, a new life, and really, we really being able to put out what we have in us out there. Like in terms of music, the music industry is doing quite well in that now because people are following our music, even when they don't understand the language, they sing it anyway, they ask questions, the beats and all that is permeating everything. So that can also be done in the fashion industry in the future. And the way we can do that is to be on our technology game. We have to be up there in technology wise because we're so far behind. We don't have factories. We're not producing cotton. You know, we're just, what we really have is the artists. At the end of the day, the base products are being produced from abroad and sent into Africa. The paints, everything is being sent, you know, imported, so to say. So what do we have? We have our artists, you know, the creatives that are, you know, doing what they do. So that's I would like to see a situation where we can put more of that forward, and we can do that through technology, through TikTok, through you know, all the various platforms that we have for social media. And like I said, if our governments will encourage the technological aspect of fashion education, that is, you know, 3D stuff and all that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we can master that, then we meet them at the top. Yeah, because the Chinese have already done all the textiles more or less. So that's where we can come in, and that's where I see Africa being able to, you know, be on top of everything. That's my
Okay.
answer. I hope it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your answer. We appreciate. Going to Ruth Jacob. What do you think is missing in African countries to set up fashion schools? With this question, maybe also Karen will reflect on that question. So what do you think about this question?
So yeah, I think there was, sorry, is that me or Karen? Sorry.
You before Karen.
Oh, sorry, no. Yeah, so I think actually Esther really touched upon some really, really good points. She mentioned about there being the support for there to be, say, manufacturing elements, and that's something that's really, really key in fashion. And she mentioned rightly that's something that's definitely happening more so in the East, in eastern parts of the world, like in Asia. But that's something that would be really, really supportive and really, really, really help. I can say fashion as an industry taking place in more in Africa. But in terms of the education point, I think there should be a really positive view of fashion as a means of employment. There's a joke that I normally tell family and friends that in African communities, so I'm from Nigeria, and in African communities, there's something considered the holy trinity of employment. So doctor, lawyer, or engineer, those are like the key jobs that you have to have if you want to be seen as someone productive or successful. So when you think about a subject like fashion, it's not something that is supported, whether that's at education level or even beyond. So for that to be supported in school, I think there should be a positive view of fashion as a viable employment opportunity, as a means of being able to really support yourself and really do something good, not only for yourself, but obviously for future generations as well. I think there should also be facilities made available for students to learn. So that's developing connections with the fashion industry. One of the key things that Esther also mentioned is GT Fashion Weekend, and there are different elements of fashion that are presented, not only in Nigeria, but in other parts of the world. So you've got GT Fashion Week, Nigeria Fashion Week, Lagos Fashion Week. There are many Fashion Week organizations that are happening around the continent, I can say. So them people being made more aware of them, and these organizations linking with education and linking with schools, that's something that would be really, really good. Also looking at the broader areas of fashion. Design is a key element of fashion, without a doubt, but there are also textiles, there's also marketing, there's buying, there's manufacturing, there's merchandising, there's management, all of these different elements. There's legal aspects related to fashion, copyright, creative and intellectual property. All of these are subjects that can be presented and linked and shown. The links with fashion with these subjects can really be shown, and it's something that can be expanded to those areas. So for example, someone who works as a lawyer, you could look at fashion law, and then you can bring a fashion into that area of education. Someone who wants to be an accountant could be an accountant for a fashion organization. Again, you're bringing that link in with the industry. So you're showing the viability, you're showing the strength that the fashion industry has. And sometimes people just almost see it as like something that doesn't have substance, but there is a lot of substance in fashion. And I think people seeing more broadly and more, I can say, more from a rounded point of view, it's something that will make people realize, yes, this is something really solid, this is something really viable. And hopefully that can be something that supports fashion as a means of education and fashion schools taking place as well.
Thank you so much. Karen, Ruth have mentioned something, facility. Tell us, it's been about 2 to 3 years ago in Rwanda, and the government have been banning the second hand, and people have been having different views because the prices are very high. This shouldn't be the priority because there is no fashion school. So what is the facility Rush is talking about to you in terms of fashion infrastructure in Rwanda? What do you think about that?
Well, generally, fashion in terms of education is a broad thing. It's a big investment. And much as we are promoting in the perspective of fashion lovers, am I still on?
Yes.
Yeah, still on, yeah.
Much as we are like marketing fashion in the perspective of the fashion lovers, history lovers, we haven't really given focus on marketing the perspective about the investors. Because if there is no investor willing to invest in fashion education, it will be very difficult for the fashion industry to grow in terms of skills right here, to have the facilities. So yes, there is big potential for the fashion schools and fashion academies in Rwanda, but there is no one has been able to convince enough for someone to come and invest in putting up the facilities. Yes, the government is working on it. They are trying to set up a fashion section in IPRC, but will it be enough? That's the question. Should everyone rely on the government for such? Can some private people invest in private colleges, private fashion colleges, to have a broader space for skills development? So yes, there is potential, but there is also need of promoting the investment part of it. Yeah. And
Okay.
about the expensive, you mentioned about expensive and everything. Did you mean expensive clothes or expensive education in fashion?
I may repeat the question again. I say, why many people have been reclaiming about the price and the quality of made in Rwanda or made in Africa? Let's say that.
Okay. Are they saying the quality is very high or very low?
They both. The quality, the prices are very high. The quality is very low. Sometimes for some, not very low for some designers, yes.
Okay, now that you mentioned for some designers, yes, I think you shouldn't be generalizing issues. When it comes to quality, There are some standard qualities, yes, like finishing and everything, but sometimes people prefer linen, others prefer cotton, others prefer chiffon, others prefer different kinds of finishings of fabric. So you can't really equate that with quality. But when it comes to prices, there have always been expensive clothes in Rwanda. The problem is comparing a new cloth with second-hand clothes. That's where it comes from. If you're comparing the prices of second-hand clothes with prices of something custom-made or something brand new, then there will be a problem if you think you can have a replacement in terms of clothes and also prices. Yes, Chagua or second-hand is being banned, but you can't expect that a replacement for second-hand will have the same cost or same price. You have to be willing to add some money to get something new. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think Karen, she's right. Maybe go to Eneliko. How do you guys as artists work with the local designers or collaborate with them?
A lot of the times, if you are, let's say, for instance, if you've got an upcoming project, you would actively seek something that complements the work that you're doing. So, for instance, I think I was saying earlier, when I was doing more pop music, which was electro dance, I was looking for more futuristic garments. So I was looking not only for designers, but just mainly people who customized clothes that I was buying in like high street brands, pretty much. So that's what we usually do. But we would actively have like a project that we're doing at the time before we join forces with someone like a designer.
Okay, thank you so much. We have with the Nganzi Samba from Central Africa, who is trying to check in. Nganzi, are you there? Seems she's having technical issue. So,
oui, bonjour. Bonjour, je suis là.
Okay, bienvenue. Actually, she's speaking French. We will try to explain, to translate what she will be saying. You are welcome, Miss Nganzi.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à tout le monde. Je suis Madame Ganzi. Je suis Madame Ganzi, CEO de Opoma, LTG Designer. Je suis centrafricaine. Je vis au Rwanda depuis 5 ans. Merci.
Okay. I think I will ask Franco to assist me for some French, introduction. Miss Nganzi, tell us about fashion industry in Central Africa.
En fait, en RCA, je suis de la République centrafricaine, certes, mais on n'a pas de tenue adéquate. On s'habille, on a l'influence de la RDC, du Congo-Brazza et du Tchad. On n'a pas de tenue traditionnelle comme dans d'autres pays comme au Rwanda, comme au Nigeria. On n'a pas de tenue traditionnelle en tant que telle.
Okay.
Merci.
Merci.
Okay.
Franco, make it brief. Make it very brief. Yes. Can you put your video, Miss Nganzi, so we can see you? You can open your video.
Okay.
She says
bon?
in Africa, they don't have a tradition for this because they're influenced by DRC, Congo, Brazzaville, and Chad. I think it's one of the problems that they're facing for them to have a uniqueness or what they can produce as Central Africa people.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Nganzi. We appreciate that you are here. We know Central Africa is part of in Central Africa. Can you help us to understand where the clothes come in Central Africa came from? Is it came from China? Is it come from what is the markets of the clothes in Central Africa?
En fait, en République centrafricaine, comme vous le dites, on utilise beaucoup plus le pain qui vient de la Chine, de la Belgique. Et avant, je crois bien dans les années 1980, on avait une usine qui fabriquait nos pagnes. Mais maintenant, c'est la Chine. Nous avons la Chine qui nous ravitaille. Nous avons la Côte d'Ivoire, un peu du Nigeria. Et je crois que c'est ça. Donc, nos pains viennent beaucoup plus de la Chine et de l'Afrique de l'Ouest.
Okay, okay.
Well, as she said, for them, the resources for the outfit or clothing is from China, mostly Belgium, Senegal, and Nigeria.
Okay, okay. So it means there is influence of Chinese brands in Central Africa. Going to Ruth Jacob, we are talking about the future of fashion industry in Africa. Rwanda Cultural Fashion Show, in collaboration with the other institutions, we have conducted the research where we have found different issues, like we are talking about the quality of clothes. We are talking about who can design a clothes. We are talking about the marketing and the promotion of the clothes. This question, I think you will help us to understand in a broad way, in a big way. Are there any specific tools governments should use to support African growth fashion industry?
Yeah, so there are some steps that governments can take. Something that I've been aware of is there are governments and nations overall that have set up things like fashion councils. So that's something that can be done with, say, for example, on an individual nation basis, but also the continent of Africa is supported, or there is a connection through the African Union. I know, for example, the European Union, they have council, and there are elements of support that they provide for the fashion industry in different parts of Europe. So the fact that African Union exists, there should be an element of support for the fashion industry across Africa as a whole. So that's something that can be done. There's also organization called the Commonwealth Fashion Council, and they support Fashion Week organizations in basically areas of the Commonwealth. So that's outside of Africa as well, but there are nations within Africa that are part of the Commonwealth. So that's something that can be done. So they really work to just really support, really promote fashion weeks and fashion as an industry, and also fashion education within the Commonwealth. There's a further organization called UNCTAD, that's the short name, which stands for the United Nations Conference of Trade and Development. And one of the things that they've done is they've supported fashion organizations, fashion designers in different parts of the world to use fashion to develop, as I said, the economic activities in those respective nations. Again, that's within Africa, outside of Africa as well, but there are definitely African nations that can use fashion and that can connect with UNCTAD to support fashion as a way of developing their economic activities within their countries. So that's something that can be done. I think fashion in Africa is not like fashion anywhere else. It's got so many unique connections, whether that's with Asia, whether that's with Europe. And that's something that people really should be aware of. Fashion within Africa is something that's linked. I'm aware of things like indigo, the dye used to make denim. The way that's used and created in Africa, it's different from how it's done in different parts of the world. Sometimes people aren't aware of that. So really, there should really be a push to really promote and to really celebrate fashion, culture that comes from Africa. And I think that's something that the government should really work to be made aware of. And there are things that people have said here, like Enrique talking about musical artists, and I believe Esther mentioned that as well, musicians being something that people link to Africa very significantly, but that's something that can happen with fashion as well. I think people should really, when they hear Africa, fashion should be something that comes to mind, as well as the music, as well as the culture and the dance, etc. So yeah, just really celebrating what fashion is and linking that very much more closely with Africa.
Okay. I still have one question to ask you as a professional profession in fashion. We have had this issue in Africa. I'm talking about, no, I'm not talking about in Rwanda only. I'm talking about in different African countries where I have seen that in Kenya, have seen that in Burundi, have seen that in Uganda, in some other Africans. We have these categories of designers. We have fashion designers who went to school, who learned fashion. We have other designers who are talented just to be talented. And we also have like other group of people who love fashion, but they don't know where to start. And when it comes on a market, it's hard to collaborate. It's hard for a developed fashion designer to collaborate with an upcoming designer because of many reasons. So what do you think is happening, and what do you think should be done so fashion designers can work together, like to support the same journey?
It's a really good question. I think number one, definitely just feel free to celebrate each other. I think definitely one, celebrate each other, but also I think different things happen. So knowing who you're catering for, there are different people, the different people, young, old, male, female, etc. So know who you're catering for. You don't have to necessarily be trying to vie for the same person. There are so many people, so know who's out there and know who you want to try to approach and know who you want to try to reach. Collaboration is definitely something that can take place. I think one of the things about fashion is it's very distinctive. You want to have your own style, you want to have your signature on what you're doing, and that's maybe where the concern with collaboration comes from, wanting to have that distinction. But what can happen is you can collaborate with each other, but still also have your own distinct focus. So again, it goes back to knowing who you're focusing on, knowing who you want to cater to. So imagine if, say, for example, a designer wants to focus on a woman who's in her 30s. One designer may want to focus on a woman who's in her 30s who wants beach wear. Another designer wants to focus on a woman who's in her 30s who wants evening wear. Another one wants to focus on the same woman who wants work wear. So you can have different designers focusing on, I can say, different areas, even if they're focused on the same customer, but you can still have those distinctions. The point about collaboration, again, I think it's still about wanting that distinction. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's not that it can't take place, but I think allowing designers to also have their distinction, to have their own signature on what they're doing. I think it does take place. I think collaboration between industries as opposed to collaboration between artists take place. So someone in the fashion industry collaborating with, say, a musician, or someone collaborating with an influencer, with a model, that takes place. But designer with designer, that doesn't, it's not as known, if I can use that term. But it's something, you never know, it could be something that takes off and really supports fashion industry. That could be something that Africa does in to bring its own spin on that activity.
Okay. Going to Karen, what do you think? Tell us the collaboration. Do you think collaboration can be the key success for fashion industry, for the future fashion industry in Africa, starting to your country, Rwanda?
Well, something is noisy, but collaboration has always been a key factor in success. saying. There is a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with someone. So I always believe in collaboration, and I've always encouraged, for example, people who have fashion shows to link, to merge designers. If one does accessories, the other one does shoes, another one does clothes. One model can have 5 designers on them, and everyone feels the connection of the made in Africa. Instead of having my outfits with the shoe, with the 9 West or some other shoe, I would rather have my clothes with the shoe made in Rwanda. So that the collaboration, next time when a client wants my dress, they might want the shoe that was with the dress. So always, I believe that collaboration is the key if you want to succeed in the fashion industry.
Okay.
Before we go to Esther, let me ask Karen, as a chairperson of Association Designers here in Rwanda, I think she knows what we need to get the investors in this fashion industry here in Rwanda.
Did you have the question, Miss Karen? Monica was. Do you have Monica?
I was trying to ask her. There was a problem. Hey, Karen.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I was saying, you, as the chairperson of the Association of Designers here in Rwanda, you can know what it can attract the investors to invest in the fashion industry here in Rwanda.
You're asking me to say what is attracted first?
So I think you did have the question. She's saying, as you are the chairperson in the fashion designers in Rwanda, he says, do you have an idea at least what needs to be taken so the investors can be, so we can have investors in Rwanda? So do you know what are we missing, or do you know what we need to take so we can have those investors in Rwanda?
The first thing is to tell them where there is business, and I'm sure there is business. Because we have very many so many youth who want to join fashion, who are asking me where can we study fashion in Rwanda. So we have so many students, we have so many designers, we have even outside Rwanda in the region, we have a big market for them. So that's something is noisy, I'm sorry, I can't talk, but I hope you hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, so that the biggest factor that you need to use to attract an investor, tell them why there is business. Because the investor doesn't have the passion, they want the money. So, and I know there is business because if we are all here talking about fashion, we have so many others who would like to study fashion, be it in Rwanda, be it in the region. So that's one. The other is I don't think the government will have a problem making it easy for an investor in a fashion college to establish here. So if there's any investor following, please take a step and come over. We have big sales here.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. We are almost closing to the end. Before we go, I think we have one question to each person. Estarami, what do you think can people in Africa can learn from your country in terms of programs or pieces of fashion training that supports the fashion entrepreneur?
Well, one thing I think that people can learn from my country, which I observe is happening now, is really happening more on social media, which it was a question that you asked, that how can we support each other? You asked that question to somebody, that how can we in the fashion industry support each other, yeah?
Yes.
you asked, I think it was Ruth, you asked that question. So I was saying that in answer to the question you're asking me now, is that I feel that there's something that I've noticed on social media, which I feel that designers and can support each other, like comedians in the comedy industry, they do it a lot, whereby they invite each other. They're always inviting each other for programs, and by so doing, you're spilling your own members or your followers onto the next person. So in the fashion industry, we need to find ways to do that with each other. If you make, let's say, jewelries that are maybe in line with your own as a designer. You have someone that makes jewelries which mimic your fashion aesthetic. You can always tag them. Tagging each other, I think, can really help the industry to grow and make it tighter. Just the way musicians too have opening acts and so on and so forth. So we have to find a way to do something similar. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely answered the question. Going to Enrico, in the UK, you have been mentioned about how you have been the struggle in the career in the UK. Let's ask, what do you think a designer needs to know in terms of, because we have seen fashion shows where African designers are playing music from Western. So
yes, sorry, bringing music from Westerns. I think it's just what is quite influential. Bear with me 1 second. I don't know why my screen is going to cut off. Yeah, I just think it's whatever's influential at that time. And I mentioned this in my second question before. If we could be strategic with what our brand is and knowing what territory that we are in. So, for instance, let's say me being in the UK, I would work with people that are within my territory because it's easier to kind of send things over back and forth. But if I was based in Africa, it's about being strategic, knowing exactly what is out there to your disposal, pretty much. And it goes back to what Ruth was saying about just understanding your audience, your market. And Esther saying about the collaboration. It's just all of that. You've just got to be strategic with that while bearing in mind the kind of situation I guess we are right now. So we just know it's all about unity. So if we can find a way to kind of bridge the gap with each other as creatives, I'm sure that it could be a little bit more beneficial for everyone.
Before the last question for you, we have seen some performance like fashion show, runaway show and live music at the same time. Do you think that can be something African fashion designers can also do, or fashion event organizers can do? Do you think it's possible for us here in Africa as well?
Yeah, 100%. It's all about innovation. So if you can be innovative enough to think, okay, cool, well, I've got this garment, and like Miss Dixon was saying, collaborating with someone else that has the accessories, and then you're bringing on, let's say, an up-and-coming artist that's in the territory or maybe from a country with a new song that is making a wave. Like, you guys can kind of we all can kind of move forward together in those ways. So yeah, it's all about innovation with it. How creative can you be with putting these shows together?
Okay. Thank you. Going to Ruth Dako, which will be the last question for you. But before, Enrico, I hope you will come to Africa to perform in shows with some fashion shows. Yeah.
Well, are you inviting me? Because I would definitely be there. I'll be on the next plane after this COVID.
You are already invited.
Yes, Monique is already invited you already. So, Ruth Dako, we know branding, it's something very hard and requires a lot of skills. We know internet the digital marketing is a good to fashion designers. But we have had some designers or some cases where a fashion designer will go on Google, pick a picture of a Nigerian designer, for instance, then you can copy paste. So what do you think, or what do you think designers need to know in terms of laws and regulation, copyrights, about copying something from internet? What's the consequences of the product with that counterfeiting?
So just so I'm sure, so that's more so a question about how to deal with counterfeits, do you mean? Is that what they're...
Yes.
So it's an annoying fact and a very unfortunate fact, but counterfeiting is something that is linked with fashion. You can, if any well-known brand is aware of that. So you think about Louis Vuitton, Burberry, many examples of their trademarks have been copied by others. So unfortunately, that's something that does come with the industry. But one thing that you can do is be consistent with what you are producing. That consistency will show and will automatically link, whether it's your print or your logo or something that is synonymous with your brand. The more consistent you are with that, the more people will start to see that and link that with what you're doing. Regarding the legal aspect, one thing that I would encourage people to do is, where possible, get as much legal advice as possible, because laws are country-based, if I can say that. So the law in one country may be different to how the law operates in another country. So understanding how the law works within your own country and also understanding how it works internationally is something that's really good to do. So again, if that element of understanding, that element of can be linked with fashion, it's something that will really support designers. But ultimately, it's just about being consistent as much as possible, so that whenever people see, say, for example, whether it's a logo, whether it's a color or an image, they automatically link it with what you're doing. So Nike do that very well. As soon as you see a Nike tick, you know it's Nike. That's something that designers can do for themselves, develop something that's really distinct, unique, that can be for you and for your brand, and use that consistently. And that then becomes part and parcel with what you're doing.
Okay. Before I see on Ruth, I have seen at the University of Eastern London, you have this kind of library, kind of a place to search, like a website that have information. What do you think should be done in Africa to maintain the fashion industry for its history? For example, we are talking about no schools, we are talking about we have fashion promoters, we have fashion designers, we have what already have been done. What should we do to maintain that history so that upcoming fashion designers will learn from that? Then another question will be, what are the opportunities for African people to come to study professional fashion marketing at your university? Yes.
So the first question regarding how people can be aware of fashion history is, one key thing is just to document it. So if you can find ways to write and to present and to create awareness and understanding of whether it's craftsmanship that happens in Africa, so a certain weaving technique, or if it's, for example, the indigo example that I mentioned, that's something that I saw in a documentary film. So if there can be ways that people can document their practice. One of the unfortunate things about, I can say, African history is a lot of our history in some ways it hasn't been documented. People aren't aware of their history. It mostly comes through spoken word, which is great, but there isn't a tangibility with that. So if that can be documented physically in book form, so that can be, for example, people becoming publishers within Africa, having the opportunity to document and to present and to show those elements of fashion production, those elements of design, that's something that will keep people aware of African craft moving forward. So I think one of the things that we've been talking about is social media. If there can be, say, for example, websites, Instagram page, Facebook pages, something that shows how our work takes place, having it documented is something that can keep it ongoing in the future. So having something documented is really key. think about. So for me, I work in education, and a lot of what I do is based on things that I've read in books or based on what other people have read. So having something that you can read, whether it's a book or whether it's a magazine, something on a website, just something that allows you to document what you're doing, something that allows you to document what has been done. That's something that's really key. And the second question regarding fashion at UEL, University of East London. So fashion marketing, it's a growing and it's a developing industry. One of the things that we're doing at the University of East London is we are trying to make it much more broad. So obviously I'm from Nigeria, but I teach in the UK. And a lot of the way fashion is taught is it's very Western, it's very European, but we really are doing everything we can to expand people's awareness of fashion, not just from the Western world, fashion from Africa, fashion from Asia, fashion from different parts of the world. And being on a conference like this is a really, really great space to do that, because I'm hearing from amazing people who have that insight, who have that direct of understanding. So that's something that we can definitely do to make even more people aware of what fashion is in different parts of the world. And that's something that we're encouraging people to learn about and understand about. And again, it goes to the point of being able to document what fashion is. More people knowing about it, more people speaking about it will in turn lead to even more people knowing and speaking about it as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Before I go to Franco Kawano, let me ask Mrs. Ruth. Do you think our African cultures can limit the growing of the fashion industries in Africa?
Do I think Africa? So straight away, I personally would say no. The first thought that comes to mind is no. I think African culture is something that can really expand and really grow what fashion is from the African point of view. I think it's what makes, one of the things about fashion is that there should be distinction, there should be something unique, something different. If everyone does exactly the same thing in fashion, it's not really fashion, it's just like uniform, there's nothing interesting about it. But understanding different techniques, different ways of doing things is something that really supports what fashion is. So I don't think African culture limits fashion. I think it should be something that is celebrated, something that people should be made more aware of. So even if it's down to the climate, why would people wear, say, lighter fabric? Obviously, that's one of the key things is down to climate. So those different things should really support fashion. Those things should really support what fashion is. They should support African designers presenting their fashion wares.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we have another person. Actually, we had to apologize because of COVID-19. There is challenging in the timing between our panelists. Actually, some of our panelists, we had about 11 panelists. Some of them didn't show up because of different issues, and but mostly some technical issues. Now we have Houston. Houston is from the Republic Democratic of Congo. Mr. Houston, you are welcome.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone.
Okay, can you introduce yourself and what you do?
I'm Houston. And I'm a model for first. After that, I'm a fashion promoter. I'm living in DRC right now. So that's all I am. So can I speak in French, please? You know, I'm not good.
Why?
I would like to know that.
Okay, thank you, Houston. Yes, you can speak in French. Maybe let us ask you, the specific question is for you. You are a bit red. Most of the questions we wanted to ask you was related about what you do. I remember when you came to Rwanda, you came as a model, and when you returned to DRC 2 years ago, I saw you have a modeling agency in Congo. Now you started an event called the Fashion Week, the One Fashion Week. So the question you have is about tell us the history of kitenge in Congo. We see many Congolese, they are putting on kitenge. So tell us the history of kitenge in Congo. Maybe you can speak in French, yes.
Ok, merci. En fait, chez nous, ici au Congo, I will try to speak in English. I will try. I will not make a mistake. So I know I know some people who live in Nigeria doesn't speak French, so
Okay.
So especially we have Lisco. Lisco is the own company who provide us training. So we have Lisco and we have Wudan, especially we have Wudan. So, but here, Congolese people, we don't like especially one of kind of kitenge, right? So we use every time when we have something who are good for us, we use it. We don't have specially things. So we try everything. But especially in fashion, we have Buddha and Lisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Houston. Thank you. We appreciate your input. We know in the Congo you are very stylish. So where do you get all those clothes? We know Congo is a huge country. It's a huge country with a variety of tribes. You have a variety of tribes. So where do you get those clothes? They come from China, they come from Dubai, they came from Western. Where do you get all those clothes?
Close from Lisco they come. I think it's from Holland. But sometimes we use Rwandan clothes too, and Burundian clothes. So, but especially from Lisco, they come from Holland. Yes.
Okay. So going to Franco. Franco, we have a question is from one of the attender asking to Ruth Jacob. Someone we thank Victoria Samshonga, who is now a fashionist from in India. She was asking a question. No, I don't think it's her. One, she says, thank you, Jacobo, for the points that designers are the key, but you find nowadays designers giving their collection to their relatives to advertise for them, leaving out the models. So this person is asking you that, why do you think designers are not using models to promote their clothes and they give to their families? Do you think this is something to answer?
No, that sounds fine. Yeah, I think that's one of the ways that can take place. There's a phrase known as word of mouth. If you've got, say, a family member wearing your clothes and it's something that will appeal to other people, as soon as they see it worn, I don't want to say a real person. If they see it worn on a person, automatically it's going to get their attention. If it's something that stands out, they'll definitely be asking, where did you get this from? How can I get this made? So whether that's on a model or on a real person, either way, as long as people are seeing it, as long as that awareness of that design is coming out, I think that's the key thing. So something that is seen sometimes even, so for example, one of the things that I'm aware of is something called influencer marketing. And the thing about influencers, they're not necessarily a model type. They're just seen as a regular person. So seeing something on, say, a regular person, like a next door neighbor, a family member, you're more in tune to relate with and connect with them as opposed to seeing it something on, say, a model, for example. Not to say that models can't wear designer clothes. Obviously, it's a form of marketing. It's something that will definitely get people's attention. But another area, another form of marketing, another form of grabbing people's attention, just doing it simply through word of mouth, speaking to someone who's very close to you, someone who you can connect with much more easily, much more fluently. That's another way to get people to gain. That's another way to gain more awareness about brands and about clothing that they're making. So whether it's on a model or a person next door, a family member, as long as that awareness takes place, I think that's the key thing that needs.
Okay, thank you so much. We have one more question to Franco, one more question to Nganzi, and then we read some comments from the attendant. Nganzi, Tu as dit que tu voulais qu'on pose les questions en français. Mon français, c'est pas bon, mais je vais essayer de poser la question. En Centrafrique, vous avez maintenant à Centrafrique, il y a la confrérie dans vos pays, qu'on peut dire Condorias, mais à propos de la fashion, est-ce que quel le gouvernement fait pour supporter l'industrie de fashion?
En fait, pour le moment, bon, merci. Comme tu as dit, condoléances, merci. C'est un pays en guerre, c'est un pays en conflit, comme on le dit. Mais pour le moment, la place n'est pas à la culture. Non, la place est d'abord la sécurité. Donc, le gouvernement a essayé de mettre un peu de côté la culture. Il faut d'abord sécuriser le pays, parce que tant qu'il n'y a pas la sécurité, mais on ne peut rien faire. On ne peut pas organiser le Fashion Week. Ils ont essayé, en commençant par la Miss Centrafrique. Mais vous savez, quand il y a la guerre dans un pays, on ne peut rien faire. Alors, concernant, je reviens encore sur la culture, je reviens encore sur la mode. On ne peut rien faire. Le gouvernement ne peut rien faire pour le moment, même si on essaie d'organiser le Fashion Week. Mais qui va venir? Si par exemple, j'essaie d'inviter Ruth, j'essaie d'inviter Enrico, le Nigeria, qui va venir puisqu'il n'y a pas la sécurité? Alors pour le moment, on ne peut rien faire pour la mode. C'est une triste réalité. Dans d'autres pays, la mode fait fonctionner le pays, mais dans le nôtre, pour le moment, ce n'est pas possible. On va essayer de nous contenter de ce qui se passe dans d'autres pays. Et bon, quand il y aura la paix, on va essayer d'organiser, on va essayer de voir avec le gouvernement pour mettre une enveloppe pour la mode. C'est tout le monde le sait. C'est tout ce que je peux dire pour le moment.
Okay, Franco, you can help us in brief what he says so others understand. By the way, we have like few questions, 2 questions to Ruthie, question to Franco, question to Enrico. So I can see we have questions from the participants. We even have a question from Dixon. So maybe before you kids, you may wait questions. So Franco, can you tell us what you're saying before you continue?
So the brief say, because of the conflict that is happening in Central Africa, the government, the fashion organizers or fashion promoters, they can't really do anything because no one can attend since there is a war that is happening in Central Africa. So whatever is going to do or is planning to do, nothing can happen because no one can attend because of the conflict of the war.
Oh, Condorias, Miss Nganzi, ces conférences, on va remettre sur la chaîne YouTube que notre audience va les voir. Qu'est-ce que tu peux dire les stylistes au Centrafrique? Qu'est-ce qu'il peut faire? Qu'est-ce qu'il peut je sais, oui, nous entendons qu'il y a des conflits maintenant, mais vous ne pouvez pas faire les modes. Mais qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? Qu'est-ce que les stylistes en Centrafrique peuvent faire?
Ben, d'abord, je demande aux stylistes qui sont sur le webinaire de soutenir les stylistes centrafricains. Il n'y a pas que les stylistes, il y a aussi les mannequins. Certes, il y a conflit, mais l'art et la culture, je pense que ça peut aider tout un pays. Alors, je vous demande juste de nous soutenir, nous les stylistes et mannequins de la République centrafricaine. Comme on le dit, tenons-nous la main, soutenez-nous dans ce combat pour la paix et la sécurité Et je crois que la RCA est un beau pays. Quand il y aura la paix, quand il y aura la sécurité, eh bien, tout ce monde sera invité pour voir ce beau pays, pour voir ce que la RCA a à offrir. Tout ce que les stylistes et les mannequins ont à offrir au monde du stylisme. Merci.
Okay, merci. Franco,
my question goes to Franco.
it's Franco. Franco, tell us a bit briefly so we hear what you said.
Okay, she says they want everyone to support models and the fashion designers
because after the war, she thinks to invite everyone there so that you can see what the designers and models can offer to the world of fashion.
Okay, thank you, Franco. Monica has a question for you as well.
As a former professional models, you take the runaway models in different countries. I want to know, or everyone here, I want to know what matters to be a professional model. And is it necessary to have an agent as a model?
Thank you so much for the good question. It is most important to have mother agents because the designers or the agencies from Western countries, they can't accept you because they don't trust you. If you don't have agents or commission, they can't really accept you because they'll be saying there is a lot of happening in Africa. If maybe they send you money, they don't know if you're going to use them or they don't really think that when you come to Europe or America, you're going to work and go back to Africa. Most of the African people, when they go there, they just disappear. But when you have mother agents, they know they will have someone to talk to. Mother agents knows the models, where they stay, what they do, and everything they do. If you go and lost, we know where to look for you because you know your parents, we know where you came from. So it's easy for those people from Western country to trust you because you have mother agents. So it is most important to have mother agents for them to work for you. Because as a model, you're just there to work, but you're not looking for the job. So as the mother agents, our job is to take care of everything models ask to do.
Thank you, Franco. Thank you. We're going to answer to reply some questions. We on our phone. We provided one of the participants asked the question to Enrico, which is you have many songs. What is your favorite song in your songs?
Okay, well, that's a personal one. I was there thinking, all right, cool. I'm here laughing. I don't know why that took me off guard, but what is my favorite song? I don't know. Does anyone know one of my songs? A song that's one of my favorites is a song by the name "Break You Down." It's a very risky song, very too early to say the word sexual. So yeah, it's one of those types of songs. So kind of guard your ears and walk carefully when you do listen to it. So that's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, okay.
It sounds vain though, but thank you.
Yeah. Question is to Ruth. We have a person who asked them. He say, Ruth Jacob, what do you see African fashion industry in 5 years? That's one question. The second question, which 3 facts that you may consider in the development of fashion industry in Africa?
Okay, so regarding the first question, where do I see African fashion in the next 5 years? I definitely see it growing. I definitely see greater awareness for fashion taking place. That's something that even I myself, I'm actively looking towards seeing take place. So that's definitely one thing that I want to see happening, greater awareness of it. In the next 5 years. 5 years isn't that far away from now, to be honest with you, but definitely within that short space of time, I see there being greater awareness. So obviously activities like this happening, there to be collaborations with African designers being more present in, I can say, the western part of the world, but that's something that I really want to see. There's one key thing. I'm in the UK, and one of the key things happening in the UK is something called Brexit. That's basically where the UK is breaking away from the EU. And one of the things that I'm thinking could be an outcome is there being more connection with other parts of the world. So I'm looking and wanting to see that involving Africa. There are connections, obviously, because of history, there are connections with the UK and Africa. So one of the things that I could potentially come out of that is there being a great connection between the UK and Africa. So hopefully that in itself can see more collaboration, more connection with African designers and people becoming more aware of African designers. That's one thing that will hopefully be something that takes place. The second point you mentioned about, I think you said 3 facts, was it? Was it 3 facts?
Yeah, 3. Yeah, it says 3 facts. 3 facts that you may consider in the development of fashion industry in Africa. 3 facts you may consider. Yeah.
Okay, so I think if I can say that, maybe I might interpret it by saying what 3 things could take place for there to be growth in African fashion industry. So so again, one of the key things is just being more consistent, creating greater awareness for yourself. I think one thing that's come up throughout the meeting is definitely collaboration. I think collaboration is definitely a good practice to put into effect. So greater awareness using social media platforms, collaboration and consistency, being consistent. Sometimes it can be a challenge and things can get in your way of being consistent. As much as possible, just having that consistency and also documenting what you're doing so that awareness, that understanding, that people can be aware of what you're doing. So yeah, I'd say those are 3 things that come to mind.
Thank you so much. Another question goes to Franco. Franco, someone is saying, how do you think the development of fashion industry in Africa is going to link up with the other continents? Maybe we can also answer together. Another one says, which techniques do you consider to promote a fashion model to the international level? Which I think you have already answered. You can go ahead and answer those questions, Franco.
The things that we always look when we want to start a model, the big market is in Western countries, Europe and America. Those fashion big ones, they use different models. Africa used to have models that with big bodies, but in those countries, they only use high fashion models. What is here things going in the gym, having big body, having abs, having big chest?
It's okay for you to be scouted, for you to attend fashion weeks, which is not true. They see us using skinny models, and they'll be like, why do you have to use those models, yet we are here, we just gym, we have big bodies. They don't understand the market. So for them to understand why we use high fashion models, it's because that they want the big market wants. And for the Africa fashion industry to be connected to those big countries, it's always ask us or need us to work together with them. They already have markets. We need markets. As Africans, we need to figure out and find a way of us to be in touch with them to learn how they do it, and use some of the strategies they are using, but not forgetting our cultures and where we live. Because we can't wake up in the morning and reach where they are. It will take us some years to be able to be established and having awareness of expressing ourselves and having a good market, of course.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Franco. The last question goes to me before I say thank you to everyone. They're asking me, I say, Celestine Nawirema, what techniques you think you will apply in Africa fashion industry so you have one union, a fashion host or fashion design? Monica, I think you can answer this question because we have been together for 8 years. So you can answer this question. What do you think what techniques can you apply so the Africa is united in terms of fashion? What input do you think we should put in so we can be part of the African Union fashion?
I think that person wants Celestine Nawilema, not me.
It sounds Monica is afraid to answer that question. They may jump answer that question. I don't know if you, I think what I think as we when I started to this fashion this brand Rwanda Cultural Fashion Show, our target was to promote fashion designers, promote models, to help them showcase in our events. So I think as everyone have mentioned area, united make power. So as fashion designers are working together, as fashion promoters are working together, as the government introduce schools, introduce rules and regulation to protect creation from designers, to bring more investors in to invest in the fashion industry. I think this will, those all techniques together will help the industry go far. And also, as Ruth said, to be consistent, be consistent in what you do, to have all those innovations, to try and be unique in what you do. I think that will bring the industry on another level. Once again, thank you everyone. We kind of apologize for the time. We start late. Some panelists checking in late. That's why we are a bit late, but I'm sure we had a great time. This conference will be online. We're having the videos. Participants, we have had participants who was watching it live on YouTube, live on Facebook. We have had a few attenders who have been watching with us. So thank you, Mr. Enrico. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Mr. Franco, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Esther Dixon, and we can't wait to see you next year in Fashion next year. Thank you. And
thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Nganzi Samba, who you are in Rwanda, and we hope you will take the fashion of Central Africa on another level, since you are now collaborating with other people. And as you said, I think if you have any questions related with the promotion, I would like to ask Ruthie to assist you, as you said you want an assistance. I think we can ask Ruth.
Thank you.
Ruth, do you think you will assist Nganzi?
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to, yes.
Okay. So thank you, Ruth. Thank you for your time. We know in London is a different time. So thank you for coming.
Fine. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Mr. Houston, thank you for coming. We hope you guys in the Congo are doing well, and we have seen you have been having an event. So far, is your event went well?
Thank you. Yeah, it was good. The event was good. Yeah, you can check on Instagram.
Okay, you guys all stay safe. And Monica, thank you for being here. Monica, do you have anything to say?
I just thank them for being with us for this 2020 RCFC webinar. It was a great and pleasure to be with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a few questions for Houston, and we will see live even if this will end. So we will see live to answer a few questions. And if one of the speakers you want to, we can see some people, they still want to hear what the fashion industry, the future fashion industry look like, but we know the time is limited. We hope to organize another session within next year. Maybe we'll ask a collaboration with every one of the panelists who have been with us today to have another session to talk about the future industry in Africa. Otherwise, thank you so much, and have a great night, great day, and stay safe with the COVID while you're waiting the vaccine. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.